Hi, this is Kurt Doolittle. We thought we should add some context to our roundtable with Duchesne, MacDonald, Sunick, and myself, mostly so that the purpose of the discussion is a little clearer. Now, as for the roundtable discussion strategy, I had a very clear set of objectives going in, and while I did run out of time and couldn't get to the summary like I wanted to, I did manage to cover all these topics. The first was, does the left know they are somewhere between outright liars, wishful thinkers, authors of moral fictions, questionably ethical scientists in the sense that they use a lot of cherry picking and bias and other kinds of nonsense, or are they just outright pseudoscientists that they have no idea what science is and they are simply doing as the Frankfurt School is just making stuff up. I think that where we got to with that was that that they don't really know what they're doing, which has been my argument all along, or they're just unable to accept the truth, or they find the truth simply so heinous that they have to deny it. This isn't a problem for people on the right because we have a very long-term horizon to our moral intuitions. We think about the tribe, not the experience of the individuals, and so that's our way. We don't have a problem with the truth because the truth in our minds simply plays out over time. The second was, what's the public demand for the left's falsehoods? The postmodernists, the Marxists, the socialists, the Frankfurt School in particular, which is I think they've covered this, but in case it isn't obvious, the Marxists come out with their pseudoscience, the Marxist Freudians, Boasian anthropology, they come out with their pseudoscience, and it's possible they really believe this stuff because it seems to fit all together. Then along come the postmodernists and, the Frankfurt School, once they figure out that the Marxist revolution is never going to happen. They want their power, obviously. And then the postmodernists come along and make everything about identity. And again, they say there's no truth, and the only concern here is power. So what is the public's demand for the left's falsehoods? The same as for religion. Wishful thinking, consensus over truth, the collective illusion that provides them with comfort. They want to feel in control of a world they feel desperately out of control of, which is true. Nature isn't our friend. Third, why did the right fail to counter the left? Well, I think we came out to the obvious answer, which is there's been active post-war suppression. That's the primary reason, because while the moral right seems to have succeeded in politics, the research by the intellectual right's been actively suppressed by the left. And because the way the left works is they don't work by competition, they work by outcasting. In other words, they work as a cult. The right has been basically prohibited from performing any research. Fourth, does the right have anything to offer those who follow the left's message? Well, the answer is no, and that's what I wanted to try to make everyone on the right understand, is there is nothing to sell. The right has nothing to offer the left. This leaves us with not a lot of options. And so once you realize that we have nothing to offer that they want to buy, that means we can't succeed in creating a uniform polity. That means our reproductive and strategies are in opposition. Our cultural strategies are in opposition, and therefore we must separate. There is no possible means. They have nothing to sell to the right, and the right has nothing to sell to the left. From that position, you go your separate ways. You conduct an exchange so that you're not oppressing the other person or the other peoples, or you just realize that you're just conducting a proxy war by other means. The fifth question, the right has been helpful. Has the right lost hope? In other words, is it become clear yet that there's nothing to offer and they're not going to buy it and they're not going to, quote, grow up and learn? Has the right yet lost hope? Now, we can say hope of conversion of the population under democracy is one kind of hope, and I think we're very close to realizing that's impossible. Or some other vague hope that in the end Western civilization will prevail, this time without any reserve of Vikings lying up that are up on the northern horizon. No reserve of pre-Christians to rescue us. And I think that they said there is still hope, but there's only hope if we do something. And that was, again, what I was hoping to see if I could get out of the group. Sixth, well, when will the left's ability to lie end? And I asked this question, but I think it's happening now, and I think it's been happening since about 2000. It certainly started happening in the 1980s, but it really wasn't until we had cognitive science and leading to the late 90s and early 2000s that we're able to really fight the left. We have also had the complete failure of communism, socialism worldwide, and we have enough demographic information and biological information to show that the left's fantasies are false, which is why they have to just outright lie, right? They have to resort to postmodern arguments. They have to just outright lie and propagandize because those things are false. So when will the left's economy fail? Likewise, when will the left's economy fail? And I'm saying it's happening right now, and it's going to unroll fairly shortly. I mean, within the next certainly 20 years, if it takes that long. I don't want to get into why, but it's, I think, for one of the things I'm painfully aware of when I'm talking to these gentlemen, as well as most other social scientists, is that if you don't understand economics, you're sort of working in the Middle Ages when it comes to ethics, morality, and politics. The seventh question I had was that whether we will disappear, as have many other civilizations, and the Middle Eastern, South American model will prevail, which is what it looks like to me. It looks like the Indian, South American, Middle Eastern model of very small elites over very large underclasses is the direction that certainly America is holding, but most of the world. And in that model, I see only the Slavic peoples and China surviving. Or whether we hope that rational minds will prevail, or whether we revolt and separate now and let them fail without taking the rest of us down with them. In other words, why should we repeat the ongoing cycle of the Dark Ages, which is my view of the cycles of history? So within those questions in mind, it makes sense for us to talk about left versus right instead of simply talking about not which one of us is right, but the organized process by which we separate instead of fall into civil war. In other words, that's what I think the discourse should be. It shouldn't be anymore who's right or what would be better. It simply means that we can't compromise. We are wealthy enough now to both pursue our own strategies. And since there's no room for compromise, I mean, that wouldn't end in at least one side or the other's dissolution, then the only possible discourse we should be having is the organized method of dissolution, separation, and independence. So with those questions in mind, I hope you enjoy the rest of the talk. I had a great time, and I met some good people, and I loved the panel, and I hope to do much more of it. Thank you. This is Kurt Doolittle for the Propertarian Institute.